What's up, guys? Trying a few different things today. I'll comment on a previous video, asked why I didn't record in full screen, so I'm gonna try it for this one. Just give me feedback, let me know how you feel about it. Other than that, follow my Twitter, like, comment, subscribe. I need to farm clout. Today we're gonna be talking about Sentinels versus second place Demons. I don't know, I just kinda wanna. These teams make me angry because second place Demons specifically, because like if they changed up some of their protocols and like changed up how they thought about the game, I think they could be like a really good team that like is actually competing with Sentinels. And I feel like the reason they're competing with Sentinels now is not because they're a good team, but because they just try to draft weird shit to throw people off their game, which isn't it's not a bad strategy, right? Because like if any of you follow like PC League, coaches like LS have suggested that like the reason that like Chinese teams are so good is because they like not only like out of the side of the context of Wild Rift, right? Because like Chinese teams are good at Wild Rift, and like they're a lot better at macro game, they're a lot better at drafting. But the other thing is that they sort of have this like machine-like pattern recognition where they know what health they're going to survive on. And if you've watched like some of the Chinese games, that happens a lot. And so that's something that you want to take away from teams that are better than you. And so the idea would be to draft like calm characters like Nasus who are good and have good matchups against certain things, so that you can use those matchups and leverage the fact that they don't necessarily have the pattern recognition games against those champions to sort of get wins. Um, However, I don't feel like that's the second place team's strategy. I feel like their strategy is just we're just gonna pick some weird shit and like try to throw people off. That said, if they are choosing to draft towards the previous comments, it's actually like a very good drafting strategy. It just the vibe I get, right? Obviously, I have no interaction with this team. I don't talk to them at all. I'm not a coach for them. I don't know anything about them. But when I was doing prep on this team, I was like, there's no point in sort of figuring out draft. That said, I want to talk about a few things, especially about Sentinels. Um, so Sentinels, ex KFC, have like a look, and I call it the Riven Leeson look, specifically because Mally, blanked on the name there for a second, is really good on Riven and Lee Sin specifically. Like, he's really good on other champions like the Vi, the Camille, but like the Riven and the Lee Sin just like are his comfort picks. And so, a theory that I had sort of drafted up while coaching for Imperius during the third tournament was if we ban like Riven, Lee Sin, Karma, or Riven, Lee Sin, Senna, or Riven, Lee Sin plus our flex ban, we can then sort of force Sentinels, KFC at that time, into a weird draft where they aren't necessarily super comfortable because Mally specifically really likes Riven, really likes Lee Sin. Um, Second place Demons sort of follows that strategy. They go Riven, Corki, Lee Sin. The other reason that the Riven ban is really good is because uh, Sentinels really like to do like the 2-3 on blue or 1-2 on red, like double flex combo where they'll go like Camille Riven, Fiora Riven, or like Camille Fiora, and they really like to do that, which is like something that a lot of the Chinese teams do. They don't necessarily do it in that order. A lot of Chinese teams will go like Fiora Red 2 or Blue 2, and then like Camille Red 4, Blue 5, stuff like that, to then sort of be able to basically like not the same way that Chinese teams are doing it because they're doing it for different reasons, right? So like don't take that as like this is what they're doing, um, at least in my eyes. But the reason that the Sentinels do it is to have the like hyperflex is early so that you can like say if you pick a Fiora early, you can flex that into draft with the Riven, and so they don't know what mid lane is going to be. They don't necessarily know what top lane or jungle is going to be. Since Fiora and Riven can both go mid, they can both go top, they can both go jungle. Like you have a lot of options, and you can sort of build around how you want your comp to be. If the enemy drops a lot of engage, you can draft some disengage around that. Put the disengage mid lane, stuff like that. Um, that said, Sentinels are going to ban Nasus. Meals has been playing a lot of Nasus mid. A lot of teams in the NA don't know how to counter it. I think the answer is probably something along the lines of what is being seen a lot more popular in China, which is like the Fiora mid, the Riven mid, the Jax mid. Basically anything that has a good top lane matchup into Nasus, you'd pick in the mid lane, and then try to abuse Nasus in the side lane, and then switch your top laner in for the team fights. The other thing would be that you could pick like a Morgana mid lane to sort of block out that CC, stuff like that. They're gonna ban Jace. Makes sense. Jace is a really good champion for poke, for a lot of stuff like that. And then they're gonna ban Renekton. Not a huge fan of the Renekton ban. So in officials at this point, Sandwich has only played 4 champions. He's played Malphite, Gragas, Thresh, and Renekton. He's obviously looked best on Gragas and Renekton. And so those are the 2 that I'd ban out. But specifically the Gragas seems like it's his comfort pick. Also, if you ban Gragas, if you ban Renekton, there's not really like, I think Renekton is like playable into Gragas. It's a very bad matchup, obviously, but I don't think there are many people who can match Gragas, even though Gragas should be in the support role. Let's be real here. So yeah. Now, Sentinel's first pick, Lucian, blue side, makes sense. Lucian is a flex pick. You can go mid, you can go bot. However, I'm not a fan of the Lucian first pick, specifically because second place demons isn't likely to pick it. And if they do pick it, that's good for you. So the reason that I say second place demons isn't likely to pick it is because Meals really doesn't play the Lucian mid. So it'd be pretty much old school on that champion, and that's fine. If you're Sentinels, because the way that second place demons wins a lot of their games is by putting Meals on these sort of enabling mid lanes, the Twisted Fates, the Gallios. Obviously he plays a lot of other stuff too, the Morgana, the Nasus, the Kennen, but he really isn't necessarily going to play a hyper carry to the same extent that someone like Joe2 would, or someone like Starting would in the mid lane. So yeah. The other thing is that Yone is still up, Gwen is still up. I've started to become a lot higher on Kassadin after watching how the Chinese teams played it. The Chinese teams are really, really, really good at Kassadin, and it makes them like have that really sort of scaling answer. Other than that, I think Lucian is probably one of those good top lane picks or mid lane picks, but you've still got things like the Karma up, like the Gwen, the Yone, all of these really good sort of things. So I think that if you're second place demons, you're pretty comfortable with this draft though, because you do get that Gragas for top lane, and then you get that Yone. Yone is probably going into the jungle or mid lane here. I prefer mid lane Yone because I think it's a lot better. You can get a lot more value out of it. But jungle Yone is still very good. I just think you lack a little bit, especially when it comes to gank setups before 5. And since he does have a pretty slow early clear, if they Sentinels were to pick something like the Olaf, like the Morgana, that has a really, really fast clear, you can sort of get punished by that. Maybe like the Vi, same extent. Junglers that don't necessarily need to hit 5 before they can make effects on the map. Because Yone really likes to scale, and so you can pick out like either an early game jungler or like a counter scaler, Shyvana, Olaf, something like that. Sentinels go Karma Set. So this gives you a few looks. Set top lane, I don't like it. I don't think it's very good. I think you want a lot more damage, and I don't think Set does enough right now, but it's playable. I also think that Set support is also just a lot better, because Set with the phase rush can you can get 2 of the autos in with your Q. You can use your W to get a bunch of shields and sort of become this hyper tank in the front lines. Not to mention the R for Set is just really good. The showstopper, being able to just drag someone into your team or out of their team, or out of your backline into their team and do a lot of damage is really nice. Karma, obviously a good pick, really good AP scaling still. NA likes to play Karma support. I don't think it's good because Karma's AP scaling is really good. Also, I think that she does sort of lack a bit of support utility that I like to see. I really like the supports being used for that engage, disengage, and being able to sit there and sort of control space, like the Galio, like the Nautilus, like the Gragas, that you can sort of do. Plus, this is gonna end up being a Lucian Karma bot lane, which I think really falls prey to the Yone. Because if Yone can get some gank setups off early, Lucian Karma is pretty weak. They're not weak early, but at the same time they're very squishy early. And so Yone can sort of exploit that. Thresh here, very obviously going support. There could be a hypothetical where Gragas goes mid and Thresh goes top, but I doubt that would ever happen when you have Gragas. Sandwich is just very much better on Gragas. And so these bans, I'm going to sort of skip them. So this sort of this sort of gets into the reason why I also don't like the set pick. The Gwen was still up. Gwen just absolutely fucking rails tanks, like Gragas, like Thresh in the top lane. Like she just does, because she does percentage health damage, because she does true damage, she ignores armor. Once she gets that first item, she's like unstoppable in lane in 1v1s. Like, she's just that good. The other thing is that, so like other than that, I like the Vi ban here. I sort of like the Vi ban here. I don't think you necessarily need to worry about it. It looks more like we're banning this champion out of the champ pool rather than like we want to pick it. With the knowledge that Yone goes jungle, the Vi ban obviously makes a lot of sense. But if you don't have that knowledge, I think this sort of telegraphs that the Yone is going jungle. The reason that I say that is because I think Vi specifically is something that second place demons would actually want to pick. Um, you've got two squishies, the Lucian, the Karma. You want to be able to stop that set from doing anything, so the Vi would be a good choice here. Sentinels, you're going to see the Scion ban, you're going to see the Jin Zhao ban. Again, I don't like Jin Zhao here. I think he's absolutely ass into this comp. Even though you can pop ult and negate a lot of the damage from the Karma from the Lucian, that said, Jin Zhao kind of falls off and doesn't do a lot of damage, especially late game. And so that means that second place Demon's only real form of late game damage would be through the Yone. Gragas does a good amount of damage, especially in the early and mid game, but he can fall off a lot in the late game. And so I think second place Demons would lack a lot of damage if they fell for that. Not to mention, I think that since they banned the Vi, it's a telegraph that Yone is going jungle, which means that you don't necessarily need to counter ban out a jungler. And I think Jin Zhao is actually like not a bad choice for Sentinels because you're worried about the Gragas disengage. Jin Zhao has a lot of range for melee champion, obviously. He also is very good into like the Thresh, the Yone. Just pop your ult, knock everybody away from you. Yone will get snapped back if you used his dash to get to you. Scion is just more of a spec ban. It feels like Meals has been playing it a lot mid. Tristana here. So now you're looking at this, you're like, we got our bot lane solidified, we got our top lane solidified. They could still be flexed hypothetically, but I think that it's probably likely to be jungle here. Especially because it feels like, you probably have enough AP damage. You got a lot of damage on the second place Demon's comp now, but you really need something to answer the Tristana, especially early. Like, you just want to sort of fucking shove her under tower and annihilate her. You don't want to let her get anything going. So we see Ahri, we see Camille. Camille's pretty clearly going jungle here. Ahri mid lane, which means that the bot lane is going to be the Karma Lucian. And then second place Demons are going to go Morgana. It still technically means it's a flex, but Meals is very clearly playing Morgana here. He's played Morgana a lot. So it makes sense for him to play Morgana here. Also, he probably likes the matchup because of reasons like you can counter the charm, Black Shield gets a lot of the damage, matching Ahri wave clear so you can rotate, stuff like that. But like sort of talking about the draft overall, right? You don't like Sentinel's comp in my eyes. Because the Camille and the set sort of want to do opposite things. The Camille wants to go very far in, and do a lot of diving. Same with the set, meanwhile, I think is more fits like a Gragas role for disengage. So you're looking at that. Ahri is also very good at diving. She's kind of a diver. And so like I think this is sort of a last minute pivot because of the Tristana pick. So yeah. The other thing is like I do like the Karma Lucian, but like if you lose lane at all to Tristana, like if Tristana gets a kill and you don't get a return kill, game's over. Like you will get shoved in lane because you're too squishy. Thresh will be allowed to roam, and you're done for. Like you have to get an early lead in this comp, which they will do obviously. Like this is NA. It's not that hard to get an early lead, but yeah. I don't know. I'm not a fan of either of these comps. I feel like there were a lot better picks, especially for the set. You could have gone like Galio, throwing the Karma, Galio bot lane, Lucian mid, then here you go Camille jungle, which I don't think is necessarily bad here. But then you can go like Gwen top third, which like because you don't expect the Galio to get banned out. and that Gwen top will give you a lot more damage into this, which is what I really like. Also, Gallia can go Abyssal Mask first item, which is really good. For second place Demons, I mean, this is a pretty classic second place Demons comp. You got the Gragas carry jungler for Tybe, bot lane on something that they can just kind of hyper scale on and try to like let old school carry, and then Meals on a more supportive sort of champion. So just sort of going through this draft because I want to be a little bit faster with this one because I'm already at 15 minutes and I don't want to take too long. So you can sort of see here. So second place Demons make the adjustment. Still the Lee Sin Riven ban, but they're banning Karma instead of Corki this time, which I like. Sentinels, Nasus, Jace, Gragas. Again, swapping out the Gragas for the Renekton, I think makes a lot of sense. So Corki from second place Demons. Corki isn't good. I stand by that. I'm not gonna no leaks. But I've fallen off on Corki for multiple reasons. Sentinels, Renekton, Gallia makes sense. Still a lot of good junglers up, not as many good top laners up. Second place Demons don't play Gwen, which I wouldn't expect them to. They're probably gonna be on the Malphite, the Thresh, or something like that. So you're liking your top lane matchup. Second place Demons go Kha'Zix and Thresh. Again, just getting that favorable support matchup, right? If you have counter pick into it, then you must think it's favorable Thresh into Galio. Kha'Zix is a good farming jungler. There's no real issues here. The Corki is to stand out for being a fucking... I just don't like Corki. I'm not a fan. I think there's a lot better lock-ins here. You could have locked in the Renekton. You could have locked in like the Gwen, Yone, still up. Stuff like that. Senna, still up. Sentinels go Camille Red 3 so as to not get banned out for jungle possibly. Just in case you were worried about that. Plus she's a flex page. She can go jungle, top, mid, all in one. And then you see ban Ziggs, ban Lucian, get rid of bot lane options. Lux is still up though, so there's no point. Even then, if they had banned like Ziggs, Lux, which I think is a more reasonable option because they do need AP on Sentinels. Morgana is still up. They can still take her red 4, which is fine. And then Sentinel or second place Demons go Shen Jax. So Jax mid, Shen top. I don't like Jax mid because Jax really is easily counterpicked in this draft. They have the Fiora up. Fiora is a really good answer into Jax in Wild Rift, specifically because her Q goes through his E. Not to mention, like, Jax is going to get poked out early, so you're not going to have mid-prio. Jax wants to scale. I think a better move here would have been to take the Fiora, or to put the Corki mid, and... Sorry, yawn. To put the Corki mid, and then maybe find, like, Morgana. You could put the Garen here. You could pick Garen here. You do have a good amount of damage. Let me check my notes for what else you could have picked. Kassadin. You could put the Yone mid. You still got like the Akali, the Zed, the Assassins up, which aren't bad into this comp either. You know, you sort of assassinate the Lux. They Sentinels do a lot of damage, but Sentinels counterpick Fiora. So like Fiora will just absolutely fucking rail Jax in this matchup. I think you favor Lux and Galio in the bot lane because it's just a better bot lane. Thresh falls off really fucking fast. He does a lot of damage early. Corki is the most mid champion I can think of right now. I don't like him. Jungle matchups, Camille Kha'Zix. It's really about whether Camille can get early ganks off because Kha'Zix wants to farm a little bit. He wants to hit that 5, get that invisibility, do a lot of damage. Top lane matchup, Renekton, Shen. Renekton is just almost always favored. Shen is really going to be used for his presence on the map. So I just really wanted to break down the drafts for NME and second place Demons. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow my Twitter. Have a nice day.